All righty, we are live. Sorry, everybody, for the tech difficulties. We had a little bit of some technical problems, but we are good to go. Welcome back to
That's right.
another episode of Sports to Suits Live, where I get to highlight former athletes that are doing some incredible things in the business community. And I cannot wait today for this conversation with my good friend, Robert Esmie, who is a super powerhouse, not just as a runner, but also in the business community. So, Robert, thanks for joining in today.
It's my pleasure, Amanda. I got up this morning. I was cutting my hair. I'm I'm pumping the music to boss lady, because I wanted to make sure I come up right for you today.
Yeah, well, I'm excited about this. And I checked out that Instagram post. So, what Robert's talking about is he posted a fire Instagram post about how he was getting his hair ready for this episode. So, I went and got mine done too. We are rocking and rolling. We are ready to go. For anybody that's tuning in, drop us a note so we can say hello. And it's also nice to know where you're tuning in from. We have people that literally watch this show from all over the world. So if you're listening in, definitely drop us a line so that we know where you're tuning in from. And while people are doing that and I'm checking the tech side, Robert, why don't you just give them a little bit of a background about yourself for anybody that's joining in that doesn't know you?
Awesome. Well, my name's Robert Esmie, aka Airblastoff, Mr. Blastoff. My background: I started in Jamaica as a young boy, chasing chickens and goats as part of my agility preparation. I didn't know I was training for the Olympics back then. Moved to Canada in '84. When I left Jamaica, I think it was April. It was about 26 degrees Celsius. When I arrived in Sudbury, it was about minus 26. So that was a culture shock. But other than that, I witnessed something brilliant back in 1988. It was Carl Lewis versus Ben Johnson, and I remember coming home and watching this with my mom. The energy was right. The whole place was going berserk. The tall guy versus the short, muscular guy. Yeah, David and the Goliath type of a battle. And my mom loved her Ben Johnson. Ooh, that's her baby right there. He could do no wrong in her eyes. But anyway, I hear the starter in Korean, Aya, and they went into the blocks, and I saw his muscles start transforming. I was like, boom, boom, boom. I was like, wow. My eyes lit up. And the tall American guy, Carl Lewis, the long legs shaking with them short shorts, and I'm like, okay, this is gonna be a battle time. I remember the starter says something like "Aya," and then they went into the set position, and Ben jumped out the blocks and had the lead with a bit of stumble. Carl Lewis started closing the gap with those long-legged legs like a flamingo coming through, and then Ben Johnson was able to hold him off with the hands up in the air, and all of a sudden, we won. 24 hours later, we heard Ben tested positive for drugs. I started crying. I was heartbroken. I went back to bed and I started dreaming. And in that dream, I dreamt that I won a gold medal. I woke up, ran to my mom. I said, Mom, I want a gold medal in the next Olympics. I'm going to be preparing for it. Can I have some money? I'm going to, go out and get a coach and everything. And she's like, boy, you better stop the nonsense before slap the black off of you. Almost like a Will Smith versus Chris Tucker, Chris Rock slap. I'm like, okay, Mom, I'm not even gonna go there. So I went back and I had to convince her. She was the gatekeeper, right? She's
Mm.
the one. Once she says, okay, everything is good, I'm like, how can I convince my mom to allow me to do track? Because my mother wanted me to be a doctor, right? That's what
How
her
old were
dream.
you when all of this was going on? Like when
I was
you had
about
that dream, how old were you?
14, right? And I said, okay, all right. I know I can't get to her that way, so I'm gonna have to come up with a plan how to connect to her emotional side, right? Away from the education. I want the athletic side. So I decided I wanted to learn my first contract. So I wrote my first contract with my mother. Um, got my pencil out. Yes, I know how to write back then. These kids today, they just type and text. They don't even know how to write, right? So I wrote my first contract. Says, please allow me to do track. Um, and at the time, I researched who the coach would be in the city, the best coach. I know what his cost is. I wrote that down. I wanted to design poster to fundraise. I wrote that down, and I said, allow me to do track. I will maintain a C average, And, you know, we have to learn on the negotiation because I didn't want to work that hard in school. And also to borrow some money. And I said, if you go to the bank's only going to give you maximum 3%. I'm willing to give you 10% on the return of investment. That's more than the bank. So now she's learning my math skills because I love math in school, right? And she looked at it and read it over and says, baby, come here. My baby don't get C's. Let me tell you something in a Jamaican accent. My baby's an A student. Your mama was an A student, so you're going to be an A student. You understand me, boy? I'm like, okay, mama, all right. So you need to bring that up to an A. So now we know the negotiation started. So it's guiding towards track because now we're dealing with the A stuff. And I said, well, you know, my grades may drop a little bit. She goes, tell you what, when you don't have track, your school must be at A. When you're competing, you cannot pass B. If you go past B, you can't compete. You understand? Now she says, this money business, where am I going to get all this money from? Money don't grow on trees. I'm like, no, but I need some money to fundraise to make it happen. So she said, okay, I'll lend you the $1,500, but I want 100% return on my investment. Plus I want a gold medal and you're going to medical school. Do you understand? I'm like, yeah. So we signed off. Now, the truth to be told, I didn't go to medical school, but I am a speed doctor. I actually have a doctor coat and everything. My stethoscope that I wear.
Is that where it came from? Is that
That's
where
right.
Speed Doctor came from?
That's right. So overall, now the dream started. I went knocking on doors. I understand the value at an early age that in my city, Sudbury, a front page of the Sudbury Star back then is about $25,000. So I understand the value of that. And I understand the value of the front page of sports. I understand half page, the whole 9 yards. So when I go in and I start planning my marketing, I look at the value coming from the advertisement budget. So when I go knock on doors, I'm knocking on doors. I'd like to disrupt your advertisement budget. But guess what? You're going to partner with me. I don't do drugs. I don't drink. I don't go partying. I have a clean image. When my name is on the paper and your logo's on me, we have an association where now gives you prime time. Now, I was a little kid. I talk a lot. And half of them just got rid of me by giving me some money and I'm gone. And then I learned how to have a lawyer by grade 10. I had my first lawyer, Mr. Massiano, my Italian lawyer. He got all the good stuff. So once a week, my job is to go into the law office and start learning how to read fine print. So we went on there and we did a phenomenal job where we raised about $100,000, and including selling my posters, investors group, people who don't sponsor individual athletes, right? The challenge is if something happens to that individual athlete, it costs them more money to clean up their image. So it's very rare that they're going to go this way. But because they believe in my ability of my conversation and my vision, they bought into the vision. And within a year, they start seeing all the advertisement happening. And now the rest follows, right? So I had to lay the foundation and hire the best coach in the city. I went on to be, met my hero at the time, Ben Johnson. And I said to him, I said that you have a lot of records in the province. I'm going to delete them. I'm going to erase them. He's like, boy, are you crazy? Nobody can run them times. Only Ben Johnson. I said, you're right. That's Ben Johnson. I'm Robert Esmie, a.k.a. The Flash back then. Right? So I remember showed up at a high school meet and I was the only high school in there and all Olympians. And the whole track stopped. All right. And all the kids are focusing on the little guy in grade 10 against the Olympians. And boy, did I put a little butt whooping on those guys down there. Finished with second. And from there, people took notice. And that summer, I went in and broke all his records. And he went back.
So we've got some people tuning in. So we've got Marcy tuning in. She says the hair's looking good.
Thank you, Marcy.
We're both looking good. She's from Arizona. We've got Jason tuning in from Oklahoma. Jason is awesome. Thanks for tuning in. And we've got Tim from Arizona as well. Interesting enough. We've got two Arizona folks. Cool platform he's building. It is super cool. And I'm really excited to dive into this. But before we get into that, so I want to know, like, why running? What about running was like, what was it that you were like, I've got to become a runner?
Well, the issue was I started in martial arts and I reached my brown belt preparing for my black belt. And I was a little skinny kid back then, right? 4 feet, maybe 11, maybe 100 pounds. And I watch a lot of Kung Fu movie. Love Bruce Lee. I think I got all the Bruce Lee down. They call me Black Bruce Lee and all that stuff, right? So I remember a sensei back then, Master Kim, you had to meditate and fast for 24 hours. And then when you go in, they got the old school with the acupuncture needles and the fire, the whole illusion, and the bricks. Like they had 3 bricks. You have to go do a knife hand to break. And my best friend, Adam, went in and he broke his hand during the first test. I'm like, no, this ain't for me. I ain't going there. So I removed myself from that. And then basketball, I was before Steph Curry. I was dropping half court points from half court, just buckets. But the coach only put me in for 2.5 minutes. That didn't sit well with me because I practiced every morning. I showed up. I put my hard work in. And I'm one of the top guys. And I'm like, listen, if I don't get minimum 10 minutes, it ain't going to work for you and I. Because we got different mindset how we go about doing our thing. He says, so what does that mean? I said, I quit. You can't quit. You can never do any track program or a school program in the school. I'm like, oh yeah, I'm gonna call my mom and see how you like that.
Right? So your mom was your biggest supporter. Like, oh, yeah, I'm getting the vibe that you and your mom are super close, and she was your biggest supporter.
Like, well, she knows all my secrets. Her and God, you know. So when my mama comes, trust me, fire truck coming if they mess with her baby. So at the end of the day, and then on the way out, I met the football coach. So I said, Mr. Swan. He says, yes, sir. I said, I noticed you haven't won a football game all year. So tell you what, give me about $100 per touchdown. I'm doing the math, how many touchdowns I'm going to get, right? And give me about $1,000 for my defensive team. If I get hit, nobody gets bonus. He's like, what are you talking about? I'm like, do you want to be undefeated this season? He go, get the hell out of here, you little rut, right? And then I went into track. After that, I realized I need to do an individual sport where I control my own destiny on my hard work. And with the vision that I had, I'm like, I guess track it is. And then I just went on course because I wanted to restore Canada's pride, Jamaica's name from all the slurs that was happening in '88. And I took it up on myself that I'm going to do that. That's my passion. Why? I want to make sure I recreate a new narrative going forward of what I want to see in the headlines. And ever since then, I was on the quest to restore Jamaica's name and bring pride and joy back to Canada. So,
and you were under contract with your mom, so you had to.
Oh, yes, and the schooling. So that piece, I didn't end up going on a scholarship. I had all the top universities in the United States. Once again, blame it on my lawyer. We had all the deals in place except for they wouldn't write certain things in the agreement. He says, well, I can't put that in the agreement, Robert, just in case of legality. I said, listen, I have a lawyer. And if I have everything that I want in Canada, why am I going to leave what I have here to come over there with no guarantee? It ain't going to happen. I got my own car. I got my own apartment. Hello? No. I want it, right? So we couldn't come to terms. And Georgia was going to be my city that I loved because the Olympic was there. I like to turn people into my home crowd and move the crowd that way. But we end up in my agreement with my contracts in Canada, every sponsor that came on board, part of the agreement was they pay for my university degree. So that was the backup. I had to make sure if I didn't go down there, that was in place for us. And yeah, I'm sad to say I'm not a medical doctor, but I've been in the medical field for about 10 years, working with orthotics, priests, knee brace and surgeons. So I work with a lot of surgeons and doctors. And then eventually they give me my doctor coat, and then I became the speed doctor because I'm always in the medical side. So it works itself out. So, and I charge just as much as a doctor anyway.
So tell me a little bit about like that whole like training process. Like you don't just go into high school and start running and you're like, I'm going to be immediately ready for the Olympics. Like that is a long process that you have to go through. Tell us a little bit about your training regimen as you went through and started actually training for the Olympics itself.
Amanda, I like to feel like I'm the thinking outside of the box person. So when I decided from the day that I want to be Olympian, I was 6 years apart. Right. And I said, I'm going to do it in 6. I know most people do 10,000 hours, 10 years plus. I said, no. I create 6. I put the financing in place. I thought I had one of the best coaches at the time. And I went up in high school. So my routine was I get up at 5:30 in the morning. I have my breakfast. By 6 o'clock, I start training, and then I leave the house, and I do like circuit training, that type of stuff. I got to school. I'll do a workout again in the hallways or in the gym room, because once again, relative strength. I don't believe in bodybuilding, but I believe in functional muscles. So you don't have to be big to run fast. I'm almost like Andre DeGrasse, very wiry, elasticity in the muscles and the tissues, and I have to fire. The energy system has to be there. And then after that, I have in every classroom I go to throughout the day, I have to do 100 sit-ups and 100 pull-ups and push-ups. So I average about 1,000 pull-ups, sit-ups, and sit-ups per day. Right? That way I know pound for pound ratio, I'm very strong. Right? I may not be as, when you look at a big guy, he's got to be 2.5 times his body weight. And for myself, I feel like if I can be like a golf ball, the density, it doesn't matter what track I hit, that I'm going to get that bounce and I'm going to be that 5'7". And when I'm sprinting, I'm about 6'2". And I'll try to keep it at that height. And from there, I have my lunch, quick one. And then I'm in the gym doing some basketball or some kind of cardio, back into the classroom, do my stuff. I leave there. I got home to the bus, reach home, switch up my outfit, take the bus about an hour in total of drive to the track, pick up my pizza on the way. Yes, every day they have my system. Here comes Robert, Hawaiian pizza. Yes, the carb for the bread, the cheese for the dairy, and the pineapple for the digestive system. I'm a little pepperoni to get me popping, right? And then my clearly Canadian. Every day. Then I got there and I work out about an hour and a half, depends on what the coach had in place. And then from there, some days I crawl home. And when I crawl home, my mommy has my bubble bath ready and my hot cocoa so I can burp, settle my system, and recover. But I'm pretty much we train 5 days a week. When we don't have school on the weekends, when I do train on the weekend, I put in 6 hours. I treat it like it is my job, right? When I'm not doing homework and stuff, this is my job. So pretty much within about a year and a half, I found myself in Martinique against Carl Lewis, some of the greatest sprinters of all time. And guess what? I got a butt whooping. These guys run like 10-1. I ran 10-9. It was like Uber had to come and get me back in them days, right? And literally, I went back to the drawing board, and 3 years later, I lined up against Carl Lewis again in Germany in the quarterfinals. And I said, sir, you don't remember me, but back in Martinique, you put a spanking on me. But today, I'm going to return the favor. He's looking at me. What are you talking to me, boy? What do you say? I said, oh, yeah, I'm going to whoop you today. What? Right? And literally, I came flying out the blocks, folks. I'm talking jets came on, the road runner, everything the legs start turning over. 80 meters, I didn't even see Carl Lewis. I just heard him puffing like, just like the show, huffing and puffing, the big bad wolf. And then I saw his leg on my side view mirror. I'm like, oh, snap, he got me. We dipped him. He went 10-11. I went 10-23. He came back to me and said, son, who are you again? I said, no disrespect, Mr. King Carl. I'm Robert, a.k.a. The Flash. He goes, you're going to be famous. From that day, I've been all over the jumbo screen. And from that moment, my trajectory went upwards. There was no way I'm going to I don't care if you're wearing a world record, because if I have my mom in the race, my mama better run. And my mama can run. Yeah, do something.
So where does this confidence, you have a serious amount of confidence and discipline, and you've had it sounds like, since such a young age. Where does that come from?
It comes from, I think, my culture, no matter where you're going, down in Caribbean, you're always moving. For me, I have cousins, tons of them. My grandfather had like 27 kids, right?
Oh my goodness.
When you come, I'm talking, nobody want to mess with our family in the neighborhood, because all of a sudden you got 300 of us come up. What? Right? So yeah, so with that, when grandma used to go in her bosom and take out some money and doing her little shelling, she goes, okay, come, somebody going to the store, right? Everybody line up. All right, so this is what I want from the grocery store. Whoever comes back first gets that extra $10. I ain't losing some money because I love to save my money. And boom, I'm talking bare feet in the gravel. I'm running on top of the gravel. Got to the store, got her stuff, vroom, passed them on the way back. Here you go, Grandma. I'm her favorite, right? Just
so it comes from competition. It started at a really, really, really young age.
When the school bell rings, you parents time you at a certain time to be home. If you're not home within that time, you're gonna chill in when you come home, right? So I'm always trying to get home quick because I love to play. I got a lot of stuff to do, right? So overall, it's just one of those fundamentals. Competition. You're eating, don't take your eye off the chicken because we love our chicken, right? You take your eye off the chicken, your chicken is gone out of your plate. So at all time, if you have a conversation, you got to keep a hand out to keep your eye on the chicken, right? To make sure it doesn't move because everything that you do in the competition, we eat fast, we move fast. It's like boom, boom, slow down, slow down. But yes, it's part of the culture and upbringing, competitiveness. Because at the end of the day, when we look at it, no matter what you do, life is a competition. Classroom, competition. Everything that you're doing, there's a competition happening. And the question is how you're going to compete, how you're going to rise. And guess what? I am not going to win them all. But the most importantly, the ones that I don't win, I use it as education. How can I learn from this? How can I get better? And how can I make sure this don't happen again? Or put myself in a time frame where now I want to be dominant, right? So it's planning. I always say fail to plan, plan to fail.
So how did your peers react to you in school? Like, because I've had a lot of athletes that have transitioned out of sports and are now in a big corporate role, and they're struggling with their teammates, struggling from a lack of drive and discipline that they're used to having in the sport, right? And so I would imagine that there might have been a little bit of struggle because you're highly disciplined. You've got like big Olympic goals, and you might not be able to relate with other kids in the classroom at times. So tell me a little bit about that.
You know what? I'm very quiet in the classroom. For say the class is 1 hour, I'm good for 90. I'm good for 55 minutes. Then after that, the teacher gives me 15 minutes to go be. I'm a comedian at times, so they give me 5 minutes of stand up. But as long as I'm focused for 55. But I really don't talk to too many kids in my school or my class because I have a different vision. I'm there, get the job done, and I'm gone. Because as I said, I didn't love school, right? I started school when I was grade 4. That's when I started school, public school. I was home taught before that. So for me, it's like I love the track. That's where I'm going. I need to get this done, get it out of the way. We don't need to be friends in class, right? I only have 5 friends growing up, and they're my 5 friends right now. And all 5 of us had a vision. Doctors, chiropractor, martial arts, black belt degree, myself, and the surgeon. And all 5 of us do exactly what we intended to do. And even now, we get together at least once a month, right? That's the whole purpose is you only need 1 friend. And my mom was my best friend, so everything is solved right there. When I got my mama, we're good, right? So we have weekly talks where we encourage each other, where we motivate each other. So we stay on page and we hold ourselves accountable. The rest, who cares, right? That's the philosophy. And business world, yes, I had a couple conflicts. And the conflict is I'm a different person than when I vision things, right? I vision the big picture and I move back in and I'm focused. Right. If you ain't going to get on my board, well, let's move on. Life goes on. I can't afford to wait for you. One thing that I've learned is I can't change other people's view and other people's feeling. I can do what I can to make the changes for my dreams and my vision. Right. And that's when you get into sales. Persuasive, they call it persuasive selling. Right. I call it relationship building. If you build relationship, everything falls into place. If you're trying to be a salesman, that's when we have problems where you try to push the wrong stuff and don't read the body language and the stuff. I don't have time for that type of things, right? I'm a vision. I feel like I'm a winner, and anything that I touch must turn into gold. I'm not going to say it's going to be gold right away, but it's going to be gold at the end of the day when I'm finished putting it together.
So we have a lot of people submitting questions right now. And so
Sure.
I want to answer some of these questions or have you answer some of them. So Jason asked, he mentioned Jamaica has a rich history in track and field. Usain Bolt, amongst others like yourself, have left a footprint in the sport. When you competed and had a chance to raise that flag, what was that feeling like?
It was awesome. I remember when I first got my uniform. As a junior, I was ranked #1 in the world, but never able to compete at the World Juniors because of injuries. So when I finally turned senior my first year, you made the team. I went into the washroom and I started putting on my uniform because you have to measure up before. Man, the emotion just came bawling out. Eye waters crying. And you know that type of cry. It started out a little bit of tear drop. And you went, and all of a sudden the ball, I was like, what just happened? But the emotion and the frustration for how many years as a junior where you know you're ranked number one, but you can't showcase it on the global stage. But finally you get your uniform and to represent the country you love, I'm telling you, it was one of the best feeling on the planet. I don't even the Olympics, yeah, it was great, but that putting on that first uniform, I'm gonna represent something greater than I am. That's phenomenal.
I bet. So I'm sure you were emotional, but I'm sure your mom
Yeah,
was
my mom.
equally, if not more, emotional than you were. I mean, I can't imagine having that experience as a parent and watching that unfold and taking it back to when you signed that contract.
Yeah, she was. And I lost my father a couple years before leading in, and she had a rough time because it's her love of her life. She'd know them all the time, and my sister moved away at the time, so it was just her and I had to step up as a son. Sorry. I had to be there for her, and she taught me how to cook early. And when she comes home from work, I know the sacrifice she makes for me. You know, it's my job to make sure I make her dinner, have her bath ready for her, have her coffee ready for her, the same way she did for me growing up. And not having my father there, and to see her support, her love, her sacrifices. There was no way I'm going to walk into Atlanta and not delivering what I promised her, you know. So to see her enjoyed it and said, baby, you did it, And I looked up in the sky and I said, Dad, you can now rest. Your boy's becoming a man, and I will always take care of her. I moved to the West Coast after the Olympics for 20 years. And there were so many movements of things happening. And I said, when she came out the last time, well, before my son born, she was crawled up the stairs because of pain, and she's getting arthritis over her body and different things was happening. Doctors wasn't answering any questions. I'm like, move out here. I have all these top surgeons in the world. I'll get you answers in minutes. And she's like, no, it's too far. And when I thought about it is, if I move her out of her environment she's been for 50 years, and I'm busy working, doing other things, she'll be alone. So I decided at the time to my boss, I said, listen, I love you guys, but I'm moving. I give you 365 days. I'll put everything in place for you. I'll make sure you guys are well stable before I leave, but I'm leaving in 365 days. Tell the rest of the family we're moving. They look at me like, what? I said, we're moving. You can stay with the family here or you move with me, but I'm moving where my mom needs me. And I moved back here. Didn't know what was happening. And the most importantly, that I'm here for her every day. She hasn't driven a year. I'm her chauffeur. I'm her Uber. I'm her bestie, right? 3 times a week. She doesn't eat when she cooks now. So I cook and make sure she eats. And when I cook and she eats twice as much, because the flavor, she taught me to put the love into the food and make the flavor. And she literally enjoys it. And, I've always said, I live my first 25 years of my life, sacrifice it for my individual self. I was selfish, and I needed to be selfish to be a champion, right? I said my next 25 years, which I'm just about to complete, is for my family, right? Now I've created a family, the next legacy. And my last 25 years and longer is to give back to society and make an impact that can change the world. And that's the stage where I'm in, starting this summer, my birthday, is to give back for the next 25 years and change what happens in the world and leave my legacy.
So you've mentioned a lot about food and how important food is. So we've got Jason asking, what is your favorite Jamaican dish? Oxtail rice and peas, curry goat, jerk chicken, patty and cocoa bread, or something else?
I love the jerk chicken. This morning I got up and I said, I'm doing my haircut. I'm playing the right song. And I said, I'm feeling some jerk chicken, so I wish you could have some of my jerk chicken, Amanda, and the oxtail. You see, not everybody can cook. My whole philosophy about cooking is when you cook and you cook with love and you cook with the right stuff and let it take its time, when you taste that food, it should bring you back to your childhood memories. When you close your eyes, it just start bringing you back into a moment in time. That's when I cook and you taste, that's what you're supposed to get. I go to a restaurant and I'm like, take the stuff back. You guys don't know how to cook. Because it needs, when you taste that food, you need to feel that story. Or if you taste my food, you don't want no other people's food again. Because it must have that love, that flavor, that time, everything that goes in it to infuse it. So when you taste that, it's like, oh my God. That's what you literally should hear is, oh my God. Mm-mm. And even the bones. Jason, you know some good. You got to suck them bones, boy, and get the marrow and get all the juice inside. That's the fun part about cooking with bones in it. It's just sucking in the bone and get that juice. You know, just and the squirrel. Oh, yeah. That's the love of food. And the love of cooking is bringing people together. We have Sunday dinner every Sunday. No matter where you are, you need to lock down Sunday. That's where we share the love and talk about the week and set the tone for the following week with some good food. It sets the foundation.
I need to come to this.
Anytime.
So what did you learn? What were some of the life lessons that you learned in sports that have translated over for you in business?
The lessons I've learned is you got to, I always say, I call it the 5F. You must have faith. You know, in this world, there's many different religions, and you should be open because you're going to learn something from another religion, right? So I keep the faith because I like to say I'm open to conversation. I'm never scared to say I'm wrong. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I'll apologize. So the faith, the fear. What is the motivational factor? So I've learned that. So for me in track and field, I want to be the best. So the fear of not being the best at the right time. I don't care in between. It's the right time. I'm the showtime. I always show up at the right time. Right? And favors. In life, we need favors. I've always been blessed to have favors along the way, or word of encouragement. You know, growing up, I'm on the track. Somebody bring me a water bottle. I have a DJ come out because he knows I like music and set my tone, and he comes and he brings his equipment and he DJs because most of the time I train by myself, and the music was my training partner. It sets me the rhythm of what I want, right? And then focus. If you're not focused on exactly what you want, you're in trouble. And business, I get a lot of people DMing me for different things, and even now I'm like, listen, folks, I know what I want. Please do not message me. I'm not saying I can't multitask, but it doesn't complement what I'm doing right now. So I need to stay focused on hand because I have a goal. And this goal I need to accomplish by a certain time. So I need to be laser focused. And in athletics, if you take your eyes off the prize, you get injuries. And in the boardroom, the same thing, right? And it comes to the last F, which is called frustration. Right? So once we reach in a frustration, we have to go back to our faith, which is the calm between the storm, and says, what got me here? Because I took my eyes off and something happened to brought me over here. How am I going to go back to the drawing board and replan to make sure this doesn't happen? Or what lessons did I learn to make sure when I go back into plan B, I can guide it back to plan A? So those are the 5F that I've learned over the years: faith, fear, favor, focus, frustration. And I live my life that way, and I try to teach that way. And I use the same template when I go into business. You know, I've been into Kintech, one in the medical business. I started at the bottom. Literally, guys, I had to write a test for my interview, and I got 3 out of 10. It's got to deal with anatomy and kinesiology. That's not my world, right? But the owner at the time and the VP, the person who brought me in, they looked at him and says, "Are you sure this guy's the right job for this job here?" And I said, "Listen." I woke up the next morning and I went back to finish up the interview, and I rewrote the test, and I got 5 out of 10. They looked back at each other and said, "Sir, let me tell you something what you just missed. It may look like a failure to you, but you just saw what you saw as an opportunity where I've improved from 3 to 5. I'm sure if I do it again, I might get 7. But don't worry about that." I said, "What is your number? What you're trying to achieve?" And I said, I'll do that for you in 3 years. $500,000 store. 3 years, I brought it into $1 million store. Gross profit of 800,000 each year. Right? I'm one of the
But it was
most
all
loved.
incremental steps. Like you were focused on, yes, you focused on the end goal, but you were focused on just checking off those incremental steps to get to the big goal.
Absolutely. And that's the whole process is you have to believe, have a plan, and stick to that plan. Yes, there was some turbulence, and once you work for head office, you know, the big boys, everybody come down hot, right? And I'm like, hey, don't talk to me right now. I'm an Olympic gold medalist for a reason. I will see you at the finish line. So don't worry about the turbulence. I got plans for those things. And once again, they're like, oh, yeah, he stayed the course. Yeah, leave him alone. Some may go on, but leave Robert alone. He's got a plan, right? And I use the same template in my business world. And same thing similar for personal life. My woman says I don't listen well, and I'm like, pardon me? I thought I was the best listener. I'm like, what do you mean I don't listen well? So you know what I did? I went back to school and I took communication skill 101 for listening skills and all that stuff. I had a 96%. I brought it back home and go, boom, somebody don't listen to me now. Right? Oh yeah, I just had to shut her up for that one.
Well, but you're okay. So there's a couple of things, a little nuggets that I want to point out that you have mentioned. Like you're okay with starting at the bottom.
Absolutely.
Like you have to, even like entrepreneurship is all about just starting from point zero and building something from sometimes nothing other than just a vision.
I love to start at the bottom. The reasons why is, as I always tell people, it doesn't matter about my stature or whatever. I'm not scared to go clean a toilet if I need to clean a toilet. I'm going to clean the toilet once, right? Because I'm a person that likes to delegate certain things. But I'm going to clean it so you can understand this is my expectation when it's clean. Don't let me come back in here and see it's in that manner. And then I'll work my way up and learn everything, right? Because I always feel like if you're going to be a CEO, you got to go in the trenches and learn how to do all that, right? So that way, when you're delegating and you can understand and feel what the next person is, and if they come with an attitude, well, listen, what your problem is? I've done it. So you have to go do it, or there's a door. You have an option, right? So if I'm the CEO and I can do it, and I did that, I'm not going to tell you do something I haven't done or experienced or built. So everything I'm giving you, it's a success, complete success blueprint. So you can do it or leave. You have options. I don't mind doing it myself.
And people have to take the initiative to actually do work. Like I've had a lot of conversations with a lot of people lately about how they've got all of these amazing things that they're doing, but they're not willing to put in the dirty work. Every single job requires dirty work at some point. Like, and you just have to get it done, execute it, move on, right? Or then delegate.
Absolutely. You know, that's part of leadership by example. I love leadership by example. That's why I said the last 3 people that I work for, in a sense, is they understand my mindset, and I don't mind following them because I'm open to learn. But you can't come up to me in another angle trying to press it. I'm like, or yelling. I'm like, whoa, 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 whoa. So even when I work for corporate, one thing my boss, I said, listen, come to me with manners, come to me with respect, because you must have your HR lawyers on speed dial, because I don't play. I have mine at all times. So you come me incorrect and then you try some funny business, you ain't gonna win, because I deal with paper trail because of corporate. So don't call me, don't talk to me, send me an email to keep my paper trail, because at the end of the day, you will not win. I should have been a lawyer for real.
So I want to dive into what you're doing now, but before we get into that, I dug up a really interesting story that I want to know about because I'm fascinated with how this all came about. So you actually lost your gold medal.
That's right.
It was stolen from you.
That's right.
And what was fascinating, because you're talking about corporate, and it's my understanding that somebody that you worked with
Yeah.
was able to was super kind and went above and beyond and got you another medal? Is this like it to share
Yeah.
a little bit about this story? Because when I read it, I mean, there's so many different components to it, but it's such a beautiful story.
Well, it's only a handful of athletes make extra amount of money in
Yep.
athletics at that top. So I wasn't one of those that making the millions. But when I got hired with that company, and I talked about when I did the tests, Kintech, the owner Mark, we had a conversation. He loves the story, and he says, "Well, let me touch the medal because I call it the People's Medal, right? That medal's probably touched about 3 million hands, right? And make wishes. And I tell him, you buy Lotto 649 or the Lotto Max, please, the Super 7, give me 10%. So when I went on a business trip with Royal Bank at the time in the Caribbean, I had another speaking engagement at a golf course. So I came off traveling for like 48 hours, got to the airport, jumped in my car, put everything underneath my seat, and I'm like, I have to go home now to sleep because I'm tired. And it's similar to like drinking and driving. If you're tired and drive, you need to pull over and then like bed. So I got home, left everything in the car, went straight to bed, and my phone ran off at 10:30. My friend's like, "Hey, you're supposed to meet me at this club." I'm like, "Oh man, I'm tired, man. I've been traveling and stuff." And it's like, "Okay, all right, well, just quick by, just stop by." I'm like, "Sure." So I finally went to the place and took a particular car at the time. I went into the club for maybe 15 minutes. I came out. I'm like, "Oh, why is my door open?" Right? Because I knew I locked it. I went underneath my seat to pull my small bag that I had underneath my seat. Stereo was gone. My bag was gone. I lost it. So the owner says, Mark says, "Well, can you get another one?" I said, "Well, they don't replace the medals. It's very rare occasion that they do replace it." So I says, "Well, I'll take care of the bill, no problem. Just let me know." So I messaged Charmin Crooks, like a sister to me. She was with the IOC, and I explained the situation. And she says, "Well, you need to file a police report and get all that stuff." So we did that, and then she sent that to the IOC, and she says, "Okay, they're able to do it for a cost." I'm like, "Okay, but you won't get the original case. You won't get original medals. They'll mold everything, and they'll just put replica on it, so you can have another medal." I think they've done it like 5 times before. I'm like, "Great." So I went back to Mr. Mark, and he says, "Oh, no problem," and send them the credit card. 6 weeks later, the border called me and says, "Immigration, you have a medal, you have something to declare." I'm like, "Oh, my medal's here." So I got to the airport and opened them up, and they're like, "Oh, gold medal." I said, "Yes." They said, "Oh, how much is this worth?" I look and I'm like, I don't know, $10. They're like, "Okay, sign here and go." Because if I put a big value on it, you're gonna have to pay tax on it. And I couldn't do that to the man. He just finished pay for the the medal and stuff. So and then he brought it back. We had this time I got a gold chain for it, so I can wear it. I'm a rapper now, so that gave me food and
But
stuff.
what did that mean to you? Like, what did his generosity mean to you?
It means the world that he, not only me, he loved, but he loved all his staff. He loved all his employees. And the thing that I love about him is he wants to encourage you to have a life outside of work, a balanced lifestyle. And that's what I love about him, right? And I look at him as a mentor. We'll have monthly meeting and conversation. My son, when he comes to the office, we gave my son his own office there. And he goes up to the big boy's office and he goes to have conversation. He's very open. So to be able to find a leader, that build a multi-million-dollar business from scratch, similar to where I started, and give back to all staff, it was unbelievable. And it makes me always want to continue to give back in some form because of those type of leaders. They change the world. It may not be a big thing, but small changes add up to global things. And he continued doing that even now. He's telling me anytime I want to have my own franchises in Sudbury, he's got my back. Eventually, I might end up going there to build a brand of the business. But just to find leaders like that is very rare, that cares about every employee and beyond just an employee.
I mean, we're humans, right? And I was lucky enough to work for a leader like that just completely changed the game for me. he gave me the foundation of understanding that you don't have to run business from a toxic perspective. Like, you don't have to operate from toxicity. And if you look at your employees as part of your family,
Yeah.
and leading them and wherever they're wanting to go in their journey, it's a total game changer.
Yeah. Right. And I think what I've learned from there is all my previous job after that is, as a leader, as a mentor, I've always take the same template, and I said, how can I empower you to be better?
Yep.
And they tell me what they need, and I put all the tools around them to make them very successful. And when I do that, it makes me even more successful in a sense. But I not only that, I said outside of there, I want them to be the best and go after their dreams. And it's crazy. Before the pandemic hit, I lost 4 staff within a matter of a month. Because why? I empowered them through the first lockdown, and now they're all going after the dreams. I said, don't be upset, please. Don't be upset, right? I know I got to leave you and leave you hanging. I'm like, do what you need to do. I said, I'm very good at hiring the right people. And within a matter of 6 weeks, I have 4 new staff, turn it up to the next level. Once again, to empower them to be better. And I handpicked my current staff at that time of all the things that I require. Some of their resume looked like crap, right? But I didn't hire them necessarily for the resume. It's just a formula. But I want to see what kind of person this is. How can we work together to create what I'm looking for? What can you contribute? Give me your specialty. Great. And then let me teach you all the other stuff to add to there. So I usually try to teach them about 95% of my job. In case I'm not there, they can make me look good. And not only that, if something should happen to me, someone can move away and take that position quickly. So that's how I like to say it.
You've got some really exciting things going on. So aside from Airblastoff Sports, you've also got Critiq. So now you're jumping into this world of technology. And
Yes.
if you're listening in, I'm going to put a banner up. If you have not checked out Critiq, it is so fascinating. Why don't you dive in for just a second and kind of explain what you guys have going on? Because it is super fascinating to me.
Currently, there's 7 of us, and awesome family. We wanted to create a platform to solve problems. We understand, you and I, pretty much a global people, that getting feedback and critique is very important. It's happening out there. We know that, but in different forms. But we wanted to tack it in a different, new formula way where we want to keep it short. Experts are very busy, right? We want to deal with them. Oh, I got a delay in flight. What can I do to help back? We want to think of charity. We want to think of people in remote places that didn't have the access and the ability to get experts, and different genres. So the first with Bernie, he fell in love with photography. He used to travel the world, Vegas, see a photographer for 30 seconds, $500, critique my stuff, and he's gone. Same thing, I travel the world to do clinics all over the place. And when I leave, there's no way to continue that relationship and to help them. So now, with all that being said, is we brought technology in the forefront with what's going on now with the phones and the accessibility and design, and build out the platform called Critiq. You get experts all over the globe that can break down your content within no time. Right now, we've just launched the marketplace a couple weeks ago. We just started getting ready for advertising it. And from sports, it's no brainer. The biomechanics in sports is a no brainer. So we started in the photography. Great, we can do the photography because of Bernie's love. Now the sports, we got the video content. And then now we will have our PDF complete probably in the next few weeks to add to the platform. And that's a game changer, folks. So when you think of PDF, venture capitalists, nutritionists, doctors, surgeon, you can upload the x-ray and have a second eye by one of our surgeon or expert, right? You have a pitch deck, you need to take a look at it, upload your 7 pages or whatever it is, have Mark Cuban, whoever, take a look at it, break it down for a small portion. UIX, oh, I'm building an app, there's something going on, oh, I need some extra help. Get an expert who's done it before, who's got the accolades, the resume to break it down under 2 minutes for you. That could save you hundreds to thousands to even millions by a potential mistake you could have made. I've always said what made me great in my athletic career is I've learned from my former peers. I studied them. So I
Who did
try
you
not to
study?
make
Like,
mistakes.
out of your peers, who were the peers that you studied the most?
Ben Johnson, because as I said, he was my hero. But I study everyone. Carl Lewis, I study everyone who's faster than I am. And the thing is, I'm the underdog because of my height, but I look at it as an opportunity for me to work hard. So when I go out there and I spank them, they have to go back to the drawing board and say, whoa, what is this kid doing? And that is why I always have to think outside of the box. I'm 5'7". How can I be, the average height in track is about 6 foot, 6'1". How can I perform at a 6'1"? What do I need to do to get better? I took gymnastics, well, ballet-ish, in my little tutus because I had bad flexibility. Range of motion I need to make sure I have. So during my full-time track as a professional, my 6 hour a day is during the midday, I do my stretching and my yoga, my active release. In the morning, I have my weight training or my pool training or my recovery or whatever it may require. I'm thinking outside the box. Nutritionists, doctors, physios, carers. I have my own pit crew. And I sit everyone down each week and I have this schedule when I'm coming in, when I'm going out. Because once again, I do not do drugs. But I feel like if I time everything properly, the person on drugs and me clean, and at the right time, I'm going to bust his ass. Right? Say that. I will bust his ass. The difference is I can't peak every moment like some of those guys. So I have to time it. And I time for championships. Right? And I can't give the same output over and over like the druggies. So I have to make sure my planning, my preparation, my recovery, my sleep is important to perform at the right time when it's time.
So you were responsible for leading that effort, though. You had a
Yes,
team, but you were leading the team.
I am the CEO of as I said, after 95, I fired my coach. I coached myself to an Olympic gold medal. Back then, there was no other athletes coach themselves to an Olympic gold medal. After that, Sally Pearson did it, and a couple of other people. But before then, I was the only one that coached myself an Olympic gold medal from 95 to 96. My my coach decided he wanted where the manager had more and steal some money along the way. And that's why I fired him. Thank you, my lawyer. we planned it out. So I said, you know what? Because I had the template and I kept a diary, and I know exactly what year I got injured each year, what time, what I was doing, I like remove it and then start preparing myself and clean up that plan and to be successful. So no matter what you do, anything that you spend money on, even if it's free, you can still learn from different areas. You can still learn from YouTube. You can still learn from somebody else out there, but do they have the proper accolade to be guiding you and giving you the right advice to help you along the way?
And
Right?
those
Because
change. Like, those people change as you continue to grow, right? Like, this, it is not a static process. Like, you're having to constantly evolve that process, because as you grow, if you want to get better, you've got to get yourself in the rooms with people that are doing more than you are.
absolutely. And even now, I'm still growing. I still have mentors. The only time you'll stop growing is when you're dead. Right? Because at the end of the day, life is education. Every day, I'm waking up to say, what can I learn today? How can I get better in all aspects of life, right? As a parent, as a relationship person, as a business person, all this area, even as a coach, we start continuing education. I have courses that I have to do every year, just like a doctor, right? I have to upgrade. So it's the same thing, but now I can, there's areas that I want to go, but I had no access. But now I do with my critique, where I can literally myself go and pick someone else's brain. How did you do that? How did you get there? I'm working on this. Give me some feedback. So absolutely, it's the new platform for the next generation. Critique. It's gonna be the world's area where you go ask a question, get an answer by experts globally, either through video, audio, PDF, interior design, whatever it is. And the great
So
thing,
if
all you
there's
do,
an expert that's listening in right now that wants to get involved in what you're doing, how do they go about doing that?
if they can go on the site, if they feel like they have the accolades, and accolades is third-party validation. We have to research it, dig it up, and make sure either a degree, an award is great. That simplify a lot of stuff, and now because you have different areas, so we try to break it down. The gray area: are they doing this as a business currently? Do they have the accolades? They may not have the audience. That's fine. We'll spend money on marketing, right? So we'll take care of that side. Or they have the right numbers. They have the accolade, but they don't do the promotion, all the other stuff. We will balance everything out. So if you're missing two of the three, well, you have to have two of the three. If you're missing one, we'll take care of the other one. But when we say you're verified, that means we did all our homework. You're verified. You're globally ready to go, and people can trust you now because we verified, and you have a sample of what your critique looks like. That remove any risk of you say, well, I don't know what I'm getting. Every expert will have a sample before you book them, whether you want them to be your expert or not.
It is a fascinating. So definitely go and check that out. Robert, thank you so much for joining and just sharing all of your joy and wisdom. I mean, you've got so much energy, and I'm super cheering you on. I'm really excited to see how everything continues to progress with Critique. If people are wanting to follow your journey, how do they stay in touch with you?
Well, first you need to say hi to my son. He just got home. Hello.
Hello.
That's the lion. Thank you. Okay, you can go play. Yeah, definitely on my website, I'm revamping both of them, airblastoff.com and Robert Esmie. But right now you can follow me on social media, on LinkedIn. I'm everywhere. I'm like Google, folks. So you just
I'm
Google
going
my
to
name
post
and
a
I'm
lot
everywhere.
of those links down in the chat after we get off of this live, so that people can follow your journey. And once again, thank you so much. And to everybody listening, I have absolutely loved this conversation. There's been tears and joy. And I mean, at some point we're going to have to grab some food together. So
I wish I could send you some of my cooking right now.
So everybody listening, thank you so much for tuning in. This is such a joy. I absolutely love highlighting amazing former athletes that are doing such incredible things in business. And if I can ever be a resource, definitely reach out. I'll post my info at sportstosuits.com. Also, feel free to reach out via LinkedIn. I am typically pretty active on LinkedIn, so would love to hear from you and explore partnership opportunities in whatever way that seems fit. So to everybody, have a good rest of your week. And
I'm
looking
sorry
forward
for crying. I haven't cried in years. It's just the passion of coming out and the memories that triggered, so once again, I don't want to feel like Tom Cruise jumping on Oprah's sofa.
No, I mean, I think it's so powerful, Robert. And, thank you for sharing your story with us. I mean, it's so powerful for people to see, just the raw emotion and the joy and the love that you have for your family. So thank you so much for that.
All right. Love you guys. There you
See
go.
you soon.
All right. I'm going to get my haircut ready again for next week.